All right, our last game on the docket. We're running a little long, so I think we're going to forego our FCS game this week. That's okay. No big deal. We have number 25 Miami on the road at number 12 North Carolina. The Tar Heels are 3.5-point home favorites in this game, carries an over under 57 points. Kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. There is rain in the forecast, not much wind, thank God, like all the other games this week, dealing with that big cold front moving through. There's also been 9 outright upsets in this game since 2004. Not a lot of huge point spreads, but the underdog has had a lot of success outright in this. This might be too speculative, and look, I don't have an answer to this, and maybe people that are looking for, just model-based stuff, close your ears, whatever. I'm going to speculate a little bit. I want to see how Miami responds after that Georgia Tech game. If you're a player, do you have any faith left in that staff to put you in a situation to win? Seriously, I think it upsets or offsets the A&M victory. I really do. That goes beyond just that play. Just brutal. Yeah, lost him a game. Ridiculous. Tyler Van Dyke played poorly in that game too. He had a touchdown to 3 interceptions. Xavier Restrepo, absolute killer. He's second in the nation in yards per route run. He's the Miami wide receiver. He's their go-to. Absolute dominator. Anyway, I don't think we've been talking about North Carolina enough this year. I don't know that we've talked about them since week 1. They're 14th in net points per drive. A pretty balanced attack, too, 52% rush rate. They're 5-0, and they haven't had any real punching bags on their schedule. It's been not great, but it hasn't been just a bunch of FCS teams and MAC teams. So they shellacked Syracuse last week, too, dominating win over them. And those dominant wins over lesser opponents, it's not worth nothing, especially conference opponents like Syracuse that have been frisky. 40-7, man. That wasn't even a ball. That thing was over before it started. Drake May, he's not putting up the gaudy numbers of last year, but he's been just as good, I think. Their offensive line does have to hold up, though, against the Miami pass rush that's been inconsistent, but at their best, very good. They got big-time pressure on Wegman against A&M, but they are just 106th in sack rate on the year.
Just kneel, Miami. That's all you had to do to win last week against Georgia Tech. Brett, it was truly astonishing. Made worse only by the fact that Cristobal did this in 2018. I had completely forgotten. At game at Stanford, when he was at Oregon, I genuinely do not understand what the thinking is there. I mean, this is like NCAA Football 14-101. You just kneel, and it's over. You win. To answer the question, Brett, that you asked, it has to be so hard to come back from that and refocus as a player, as a coach, as a fan. I mean, gosh, dude, undefeated season, just gone because you didn't kneel. Like that. That's just a lot to handle. Refocus, though. They have to do it because this game at North Carolina, it might be Miami's toughest to date. And they're talking about a game they've already played, A&M. This could be a harder game for them. With a watchability score of 9.1, it's my number 4 game of the week. At 5-0, the Tar Heels are number 7 in my most deserving rankings, number 9 on my overachievers list, and squarely in the mix still for a spot in the CFP. Florida State, obviously the favorite out of the ACC for that, but North Carolina's still right there. I have UNC minus 5.5 in this one. It's a 65% win expectancy. Power rated number 17 with the number 11 offense and number 41 defense. This could be the best team we've seen in Chapel Hill since about 2015 by my historical numbers. With Drake May at quarterback, this is the best offense in the ACC. But at number 13 nationally, Miami has the second best defense in the conference. So the defense for Miami is still really, really good. Despite last week's gaffe, Miami has been upgraded nearly 5.5 points in the power rating since the preseason, and they're still a top 20 team from a predictive standpoint. You're saying throw the model out. I get it. Yeah, I'm tempted to too.
Well, don't throw it out completely.
No. But you mean for the purposes of this game,
sure.
Yes. How do you adjust the model for the psyche of what happened? You can't. You don't. From a purely model standpoint, this is still a good team. But they have some baggage this week that we don't normally see. People have to understand that, and I think they do. With games upcoming against Clemson, Florida State, Louisville, it feels like a game that Miami really needs to win if they want to keep any hope of making it to Charlotte. They only have one conference loss, but it's just such a killer. They're 0-1 in conference play now. With the win, North Carolina's chances to make the ACC championship game improve to 56%, while a loss drops them to just 25%. Bottom line, I have North Carolina minus 5.5. It's a 35% win expectancy for Miami, and then they get off the mark here in conference play with their first win of the year.
I know when you deal with a lot of people that bet college football and anything in general, I know that they don't like to look subjectively. I know that taking into account outside noise is noise to the model, and it's it just focus on the model. Guys, they showed that kid sitting on the sideline and said, "What are we effing doing?" Like, these are 18 to 22-year-old kids. If you think that they're just going to let that, they're not pros. If you think they're just going to let that go and move forward in this week without it on their mind, you're wrong. I'm not saying that that's enough for them to get blown out by North Carolina. I'm not saying that that's a reason to even lay the points with North Carolina, but boy, I'd have a hard time believing that they're going to be the Miami Hurricanes we saw against Texas A&M. I just don't.